Welcome to Our Certain Point of View, where your hosts, Jim and Tim, will bring you new weekly discussions about the Star Wars universe. Our Certain Point of View is a fan-based podcast and has no connections with Disney, Lucasfilm, or any of their subsidiaries.
Action! Hello everyone and welcome to Our Certain Point of View. My name is Jim.
Hello there, I'm Tim.
Hello there. We never did finish up. Hello there was, we started telling the story and then you got upset about something or I got upset about something, probably you. It was General Grievous who said it first.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to finish that thought. We never did from about 6 episodes ago. All right, but today, what are we talking about, Tim?
We are talking about Chapter 5, choo-choo, the Gunslinger.
The Gunslinger.
We have sound effects now.
We have sound effects now. Okay, I'm just repeating what you're saying. But as always, before we get into it, we got some news to discuss. Not a lot of news, but what we have is important. As always, Rise of Skywalker tickets are on sale, and we are getting so close. So if you don't have yours, you might want to go out and get them. As a matter of fact, there was a conflict, and I had to buy a second set of tickets, and I was able to get like perfect seats on Friday in the middle of a dine-in theater for me and my daughter. So I'm going Thursday and Friday. So good seats are still available for those first few days. Well, actually, couldn't find anything for Thursday. Those were sold out in our area.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, tickets are out there. Any shout-outs we want to do?
We got a shout-out to Shasta Mandalorian.
Shasta Mandalorian, as always.
As always, for Gordon, thank you. And if you've heard our new intro music, that is thanks to Arden.
Arden did that, and that is completely original music. I thought it was kind of amazing. He just kind of turned that out for us. So thank you, Arden. Feedback. You were supposed to look up who noted the line God out of the first episode. We had a female listener who... You didn't do that, did you?
Yeah.
And I didn't even tell you to do it
and then I
until
wrote
now.
it down, yeah.
Well, while you're trying to remember that, I also got some feedback from Chris. He mentioned how much the last episode, Sanctuary, reminded him of the Magnificent Seven. And it's kind of something we probably should have mentioned a long time ago. The biggest influence for Jon Favreau has always been the Kurosawa films. Specifically these, what do you call them? The Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
George Lucas also said that was his inspiration, the Seven Samurai combined with the spaghetti westerns. This has kind of been a Star Wars thing for ever since we first met Luke and Han Solo. There's an aspect of this. So yeah, there are definitely huge connections between the Magnificent Seven, which is an American remake of this Seven Samurai, and the Mandalorian and Star Wars in general, but specifically I think the Mandalorian characters, like Boba Fett. So, wanted to mention that. Chris had brought up the Kurosawa Magnificent Seven connection, and we want to recognize that is true. Did you find the feedback you're looking for?
Yeah, so we got some more feedback. This was actually from a couple of weeks ago. And just says, hey, love the podcast. Love learning little tidbits and background stuff that we throw in, or that it says that you throw in when discussing Mandalorian recaps.
We do.
We talked about some theological aspects, and Megan, this is from Megan,
we should
pointed out the oh my god from the Mithril in Chapter 1.
Yeah.
So
is that the only time God is mentioned in Star Wars? I think it might be. I just think this is interesting. Like, what if we should do a book on the theology of Star Wars? You think the Force would be in there? A little bit. All right, but anyway, you're thinking too hard on this. I can see Tim today, so hopefully our sound is a lot better.
We'll find out.
Because I was really loud last week, which I'm naturally pretty loud. All right, so more feedback. We want to give thanks to everyone who stopped and left us a review on any platform. Apple iTunes is our biggest provider. So wanted to read Heart Misery Leve. Yeah. Wrote, you two make it so enjoyable to listen to, and I love hearing all lore and other historical information you have. Thank you both for having such great chemistry. That's for you, Heart Misery. It's Heart Miser Leve.
Miser.
Okay, for having such great chemistry and having a podcast for all listeners who love the series or are trying to become fans. I thought that was the really important part, trying to become fans. That's what I'm really hoping is that we're like introducing new fans to the deeper kind of stories behind all these Star Wars movies and
Absolutely.
TV series. And she finishes with, I tell all my friends, family, and clients at work, you the best. You the best, Libby. Alright, we also have DWH, a series of initials. DWHSR. I love learning and listening about Star Wars. These are the two guys making it possible for me, so that's cool. Keep up the great work. So that's very nice. And then Mel Zax says, I look forward to every Monday to hear Jim and Tim break down the latest episode. Love that they are super fans. The podcast stays very positive, and the banter between the two of them has me chuckling. Keep up the good work. And thank you, Mel Zax, for that. I thought the important part for you and I, because I'm not trying to like, oh, I feel good because people, are enjoying it. What I really am looking for is that thing about the fans. I've listened to a few recaps of Mandalorian episodes on different podcasts, and what I'm hoping that we're bringing that maybe some of them are lacking is that deeper knowledge of the Star Wars universe. There are some really good podcasts out there, and we're trying to be one of them.
Yeah.
So
I actually have I have one more. There was this was at my place of business.
What else you got
this week? Someone that I did not know when I was speaking with a coworker came up and said, "Hey, you're that Star Wars dude, right?"
Nice.
And I was like, I said, "Yeah, that's me. I'll take it."
Nice. I had one similar episode where a person approached me and they said, I heard your voice coming out of my bathroom. Excuse me? And they said that their brother was listening to our podcast in their bathroom. So that was hilarious. And then the other thing, my wife was somewhere she was talking to someone and they were like, my husband's a Star Wars fan. And my wife was like, my husband's a Star Wars fan, and kind of got into who's the bigger Star Wars fan. And my wife seemed to win when she said he has a podcast. So I think we've done it, Tim.
That's the one.
We are official Star Wars nerds.
All right, so we're at this point. I'm going to share something a little bit different. I saw this online. I don't know who actually posted it, and I can't find it again. So I want to try to share the hilarity of this with you, even though you won't be able to see it. I tried to pull it up here on the computer, but I couldn't. So there's a man and a woman standing in what seems to be a front room or living room of their home, or of a home, and she says, I've got to go away. And he said, but baby, it's cold outside.
Baby, it's cold outside. I've seen this.
Yeah, and she said, no, I've got to go.
I really can't stay.
And he said, but your tauntaun will freeze before the first marker.
And she says, but I'll see you in hell.
I'll see you in hell.
I saw that too. Awesome.
I loved it, and it fit into our theology. That's what reminded me of it.
I'll see you in hell. Baby, it's cold outside.
So it's great. If I find it again, I'll put it on the Facebook page. Facebook page is Far, Far Away Our Galaxy Is. You can find it at facebook.com/ourcertainview. We'll also try to tweet it at ourcertainview on Twitter. Reach out to us, please. We love the feedback. We want more.
So the other thing I wanted to mention was that our friend Knock sent me a link to a YouTube video from a group you all might have heard of called The Verge.
The Verge.
This is really cool. The content of the video was about kind of what a success the Mandalorian's been, and it has been. It's unparalleled in streaming history, how successful it's been, so that's really cool. But while they're talking about it, they start saying, even all these podcasts have come up, and they show someone scrolling on their phone, and right there, right in the middle of the scroll, with its red symbol, that's kind of similarly taken from the TV show Rebels. Have you seen Rebels?
I have seen Rebels. Rebels is awesome.
It is awesome. But is the Our Certain Point of View podcast is right there with Jim and Tim. So that was really cool. So thanks to Knock for pointing that out. That was a nice little thing to see.
Yeah, thanks to The Verge for that little subliminal add-in for people.
Heck yeah. All right, and as always, please take a moment and rate the show, and please give us 5 stars if you would. That is how we get new listeners, and we just really appreciate it. So now on to countdowns. Let's get through this quick. Rise of Skywalker is in
12 days.
12 days. So we are recording on Saturday, December 7th. Our release date, we've talked about this, should be no later than a Monday. If we can do it earlier, we're just dropping it earlier. but no later than Monday morning. So today is Saturday the 7th, so 12 days for us until Rise of Skywalker. Clone Wars Season 7 at its longest will be 84 days. Star Wars Day, May the 4th, 149 days. Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, California, Tim.
264 days.
And that would put that August 27th, as always. And no new updates for Obi-Wan Kenobi from me.
No, just waiting on Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Deborah Chow,
I
make it
think
happen.
that there was an update on the potential Star Wars spoilers. Should we talk about that?
Pew, pew. I thought we
My
had
understanding is that Boyega actually admitted to having left his
Boyega.
script somewhere. So,
Boyega did it. Wait a minute. Poe?
no, Finn. Yeah,
Because that was... okay.
yeah.
Wait,
So be careful. If something looks like it might be spoilery, look, at this point, if something says Star Wars, with the exception of our certain point of view, don't click on it.
Yep, we ain't spoiling nothing.
Except for The Mandalorian Chapter 5, if you haven't watched that yet. We're about to spoil it.
Mandalorian Chapter 5. That's a good point. And speaking of which, are we ready?
We are ready.
This was a 35-minute episode, Tim.
Yes.
Which you've been keeping track, haven't you? Is that a long, short? We're in the middle.
Kind of
Shortish middle.
shortish middle, yeah.
Yeah. This was directed by the great
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Written by the great Dave Filoni.
Absolutely.
So this is our first one of 2 episodes this season that is not written by Jon Favreau. I think it's the first one we got, or was last week's not written by him?
I think this is the first one.
I think it is too. Yeah.
Yeah. He was under, on IMDb, he was under written. He was under the written category, but it said written in parentheses, created by. It was,
Don't look at the IMDb, because then it tells you how many episodes people star in, and that's a spoiler.
oh, no, I just looked at the
That's
writers.
treading dangerous ground there, Tim.
Yeah.
Dangerous ground indeed. All right, so they also added Disney Plus added a skip intro button. First time I remember seeing that.
It did, which is funny because I've only actually seen it on The Mandalorian so far because I haven't watched anything else this week.
Well, I kept saying that this was their only original content, but they actually have a bunch of original content.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
But the Mandalorian intro is like just the quick little Star Wars helmet thing. Like, there's nothing to really skip.
It's kind of like Breaking Bad on Netflix has skip intro, and it's similarly, it's like it just boom, down, down, and that's the intro. So you can skip that if you want, but it's really good. And they got that weird smoking sound. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Breaking Bad. We're here to talk about The Mandalorian. And what's the name of this episode?
The Gunslinger.
The Gunslinger, which I'm a big Stephen King fan. I'm a big Western fan. So when I saw that name, instantly got excited. And not only the name, but what's our cold open start with? What we've all been waiting for.
Space Battle.
Space Battle.
Yeah.
Now,
Space Chase.
Space Chase. So we got some sort of. I did not recognize that type of fighter at all. It's really hard to see what the other bounty hunter's flying, but I know I didn't recognize it after I watched this one 3 times. And yeah, I didn't recognize it. So I don't know what that ship was, but didn't. Anyway, my question automatically me with the questions. So this show, one of the big deals is the budget. They spent a lot of money on this. Space Battle's more expensive, less expensive than like set pieces. I'm thinking less expensive because CGI has gotten so good now.
CGI has gotten so good, but there's a team working on the CGI. And you got to also think about the number of people that are checking out every single frame of that CGI and watching everything that's happening. So I mean, I don't know anything about
Lucasfilm is just so famous for its. I mean, in '77 they were making the most realistic space. I mean, we still haven't seen anything more realistic than A New Hope when it comes to outer space, really.
Right.
So
they make, they are making the best stuff, but that doesn't necessarily make it cheaper.
I just wonder because like Battlestar Galactica had beautiful outer space scenes, and I don't think that was a tremendous budget on that show. Well, it was a sci-fi original, so it's not like it was HBO or something.
Yeah,
anyway,
but I would imagine during the big battles, I bet it got
pew, pew.
more expensive.
Sound
When it's
effects.
just them with all the ships in the air, I don't think that was
Battlestar
probably...
Galactica was so good. We should do a Battlestar Galactica recap podcast one of these days.
That'll be our side one. We're doing our fandom.
And
one
we're doing
later on.
Westworld. I'm doing Westworld.
Yeah.
Tim can join me. All right, so that's our opening scene as he's getting shot at.
Yeah.
What happens, Tim?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. So first thing, this kind of came up from what we talked about, I think, on our last episode. I can't remember if it was the last episode or if it was just in conversation when we were talking about the inertia. Was that actually on our last episode?
No, that was just you and I talking about inertia in space, and I was talking about how in like the Expanse, to create inertia, to like create a fake gravity, they would speed up the ship, and the thrust would push people to the back. What they would set up as a floor. In Star Wars is more fantasy than sci-fi.
That was just a talk because that's when I brought the balloon video.
Yeah, that wasn't on the podcast.
Yeah, okay. So we were talking about inertia. Well, it was really neat because at one point he says "hold on."
He does say "hold on"
unnecessarily.
Okay.
Because he does a roll.
Yeah.
But neither of them are really impacted because the gravity of the ship is still toward the base of the ship.
Rolling your hand around like I can.
Yeah. I'm rolling my hand around like the ship does. My hand twists all the way around like an owl's head.
It's kind of weird.
Anyway,
so the only time they get affected is like when they're shaken, back side to side, like from impacts or.
And then when he hits that huge break, right, that huge stop, that you see them jump forward a little bit.
Talking about the Tom Cruise Top Gun special.
Yeah.
Gonna hit the brakes, he'll fly right past us, and he did, which is a bit of a trope when it comes to like dogfights. But you know what? Loved it.
Yeah. And
especially the special effects when you see the engines like rear fire like that, like all the little dampeners or whatever you call those things, the flares come out. What are those things called? The big metal shields that pop off the side of a motor. Anyway, Harriers have them.
I think I know why.
What are we doing?
But there was no kill shot, and then when the Mandalorian got the upper hand, there was an immediate kill shot.
But what'd that guy say before when he thought he had the Mandalorian in his sights?
I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that the Mandalorian then uses that's my line.
That's my line.
But I don't think it is. I think that might just be a bounty hunter thing to say.
That, or they know his line, and he was.
Oh, he's being particularly just. I got you now.
Just got you, and you're coming in. Yeah.
Got you now, buddy.
So that guy was not going for a kill shot, ever.
No, because he said. What did he say about the baby? Hand over the child.
And I might let you live. Well, that was a lie. He wasn't gonna let him live.
No,
but
he wasn't gonna let him live.
He was going for the baby, which was a little bit strange because he was going for the baby alive. I don't know if the bounty is still just out for the baby. If there's a new bounty out for him too, and bringing him in alive so the guild can beat him up,
right,
would be an issue. So there's a lot going on there. But then of course he jumps back and. He gets that
Skaboosh.
He gets that shot real quick.
And that's the end of the cold open. And then we hear the hoodoo.
My concern, which I thought was kind of strange, and I guess it's not that big a deal if he doesn't have a lot of space battles. Why doesn't he have something that can shoot the other way? Like, why wasn't there any defensive measures on his ship? You would think for a bounty hunter, especially one who is as defined by... you got me all messed up because you kept saying his real name. By Weathers. By Grief Weathers. So, but he says he's legend, right? He's legendary, and that was.
Well, I think he's a legend because he was able to get the child, not because of like anything. Like that's.
Well, he was told before that he was the best in the parsec.
That's true. That's a good
so. I mean, he's definitely skilled.
I think he's also broke though, because they make a mention that the Razor Crest is an antique ship or an older ship.
Yeah, well, he gives so much back to the foundlings.
So I think that's why he probably doesn't have like all the best weapons.
But you got to have something.
I also find that odd.
You have to have some kind of defense back there.
Well, an X-wing doesn't. The guy that he
and a TIE fighter doesn't.
The single pilot fighters, I guess. Now that I think about it, the only ones that do are the bigger ships. The Y-wings do, but that's a bomber. The A-wings don't. But I mean, his is a ship you live in. It's the first one we see.
The Jedi starfighters do. They have the Force.
They do have the Force. Thank you. The better comparison is Slave One, which I think can fire behind it because of the swivel mounted guns.
They've got those rotating guns on the side, yeah.
Anyway, he can't, and that's cold open. And he wins, but he's badly damaged. And the ship seems to shut down completely for a second. And he goes over and he has to click some things, and all of a sudden red lights come on. It gives me the impression they're operating on, what do you call it, backup power.
Right.
Like a backup generator or some sort, which means we better get to a spaceport and quickly. And I am reevaluating the age of Baby Yoda, because when I first saw him walking, I was like, okay, he might be the equivalent of a 4-year-old. But he coos like a baby. Because he coos right then. Sorry. Like a baby.
But he doesn't have the.
But maybe he just doesn't talk. Maybe he just coos.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because he also shrieks real loud in a little bit, right? Like, sounds like a giant something coming out of a ship.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know exactly what that was. We'll talk about that. All right, are we there? So we get.
No,
he
we're
calls
not
him
quite
Mos
there.
Eisley. No,
Yeah,
we're not there
so,
yet.
all right, Mos Eisley.
So
Yep,
we know what planet we're heading towards.
we're going to Tatooine.
Going to Tatooine, kids.
So every time, this is a really cool thing about Tatooine that everybody might not have known.
Are we there
Whenever a ship in the Star Wars galaxy is damaged, anytime, Tatooine brings itself to the ship.
Pretty much, because, I mean, no matter what direction you're headed towards Tatooine, you're headed towards Mos Eisley.
Right. Now, Tatooine is, of course, you know, it might seem convenient that he broke down and is near Tatooine like happened in Episode 1, but that's not really the case. I think he was actually going to Tatooine because it's Outer Rim and he's just trying to stay away.
Oh, there's reasons why I think he went to Tatooine. And we'll talk about it when we get to the cantina. At least I want to. Yeah.
Star Wars Cantina?
The
weirdest place you've ever seen it? Weirdest creatures you've ever seen.
You know,
anyhow,
the most wretched hive
scum and villainy.
Anyway, so he lands at Hangar 34. 34 is what they say in the beginning, but when he tells Toro to meet him, he says a different number. I thought this was interesting. I'm pretty sure I checked twice because
I remember saying I remember hearing the 35. Yeah,
because that's what he tells Toro. But I actually think that's a mistake in the script. Either that or it's a mistake in my head. Listeners, y'all should find out, and if I'm wrong, email us at ourcertainview@gmail.com and say Jim was wrong or Tim was wrong. You know, whichever one you want to call wrong.
Well, I just said that in the second part. They said 35, which I know is right.
Yeah, but I know it's not Docking Bay 94.
It's not Docking Bay 94. I wondered if they were going to do that.
They're going to go that far.
This was a very fan servicey episode.
It very much was.
But the fan service stuff wasn't bad, except for one or two things. I was like, I didn't need that. One in particular in the cantina.
That is some debate about among fans. Is it too fan servicey?
The show is not.
I feel like I couldn't get it. As long as it doesn't affect the story, I'm happy with it.
Yes, the show is not. Some little bits are. There's one piece that I wasn't particularly fond of. Actually, everything that I wasn't particularly fond of had to do with one character on this show, in this episode.
Toro.
Yep.
Three
pieces that I didn't like.
All right. Guess.
We'll get there.
All right, so he puts the baby, so he docks at Hangar 34 or 35, I don't know.
Yep, lays the napping Yoda.
Puts the baby
everybody
in
goes,
his bed.
Baby's asleep, yeah.
All
right.
And then he just closes his door, walks out, and immediately 3 pit droids jump up.
To try to help out, refuel, do whatever. And he takes a shot. Now, I thought this was weirdly aggressive toward these pit droids. And he seems to be...
He doesn't like droids.
Why that much?
Because they've mentioned this many, many times. Why doesn't he like droids? What's the last thing that he sees before his parents die?
Ooh. Or right after his parents die.
Or right after. Oh, they blow up and all of a sudden the door's wrenched open and there's baby Mandalorian.
Super battle droid.
Super battle droid. So I think this is kind of a callback to... there's someone else in the Star Wars universe who hated droids because of the Clone Wars. The battle droids. But yeah, so I think that's why they keep doing that. No droids, no droids. They're trying to remind us of his origins. Yeah. That his parents were killed by droids. I mean, that's an understandable kind of prejudice to have if your parents are killed by droids.
Yeah. So then he immediately leaves.
Well, no, he doesn't immediately leave. The lady comes out there.
Well,
and she's like, okay, carbon scoring. You're going to need a lot of help. The lady's name is Peli Mott or Peli Mott. Motto.
Motto, yeah.
He gives her 500 Imperial credits. We've been talking about the currency, and she says that'll be enough for docking fees, but not enough to fix the ship. So she does accept the Imperial credits, but obviously they're not holding much value. And then she calls him a womp rat.
She did call him a womp rat. I thought that was really strange for a couple of reasons. She said it very snidely.
Yeah.
As he left, womp rat.
Womp rat.
And the Mandalorian earlier in a previous episode said something to Baby Yoda, like "Come here, you little womp rat" or something like that. Like it was very.
It was a pet name.
Yeah. So I don't know if that means like pain in the rear.
Yeah.
And if it was kind of like, "Come here, you little pain in the butt," versus
I don't know.
You pain, just get out. Like I don't know if it just had that kind of feel.
Well, now I think we're ready to leave. And where's he going now?
He's Going to a cantina.
Oh, but when I watched this, I think it was the third time. The music here as he walks down the street of Mos Eisley is so cool. If you get a second, go back and listen to it. It's this like cool synth music, and it's right before he turns the corner and he sees on pikes all the stormtrooper helmets, which we've been waiting for that image since the trailer dropped. But yeah, it's just this really cool synth music. I loved it. The music in this whole series has been awesome. There's been a few songs I thought were, but in general, the music is really, really, I love it. So he sees some stormtrooper helmets on pikes.
Yeah, he does.
And then he goes into the cantina.
The very same
cantina that Luke and Obi-Wan Kenobi originally hired Han Solo.
There's no band playing.
There's no band playing. There's couches by the front door.
Couches by the front
chairs.
door. Yeah.
Instead of a light-up machine that was there when Luke and Obi-Wan came in.
Yep.
Do you remember when that machine lit up?
Yeah, the machine lit up when C-3PO and R2-D2 came by.
Yeah. So Legends has it that was a droid detection device, and that's when Whir yelled at Luke.
Yep.
What did he yell at him? I don't remember the exact line.
We don't serve their kind here.
Yeah.
Your droids, they'll have to wait outside.
Have to wait outside. So that's changed.
We don't want any trouble.
Yeah, we don't want any trouble. So this is about...
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
That was Dr. Evers.
Yeah. Anywho.
Anyway, things have changed. There are droids in there.
Yeah,
Not only are there droids, there's an R5 unit rolling around, which might be the one that had the bad motivator. Because last we saw him, he was on Tatooine.
There's a possibility. So it could certainly be that.
They seem to be the most common type, though.
They definitely ran the R5 unit just to, to show that there's a droid rolling around. Behind the bar is now a droid serving.
Oh, not just a droid. Tell me you recognize that droid.
I've recognized the sight of it, but I don't know it in particular.
That's the torture droid from Jabba's palace.
It is the torture droid.
It is the torture droid. That's the torture droid. I didn't look up his name. That's the torture droid. Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah.
He needs a new job.
Yeah.
He can't torture droids no more. So now he's just annoying people.
Now he's just letting droids into this establishment.
I thought that was kind of cool. A droid took over the establishment, and now, you know what? Droids drink for free, because they don't drink, I'm guessing. But anyway, so he asked the droid... Oh, wait, no, it's at this point that we actually go back to... We flash back to the hangar bay.
Yes.
And Peli comes... she's out there, and this is the sound you were talking about.
Yeah.
Did you recognize the sound?
No.
Before Baby Yoda emerges, there's this weird scream yell type sound that comes out. That's a crate dragon. It's the exact same sound that Obi-Wan Kenobi originally made in New Hope. Now, when they re-released those films, they changed it and made it sound really, really, really weird.
Right.
But the original, if you can find the original.
I remember that.
That is the original crate dragon yell. That Obi-Wan uses to scare off the Scampi.
Well, then why does Yoda sound like that?
I have no idea, and I was hoping there was some sort of significance to it. It might just be, again, fan service so that people like me will geek out over it. Because, again, it's not in the versions that are available now of New Hope. You'd have to go find an old version to hear that sound. I'm sure they exist on the internet. But I had the album, the Star Wars album, where it was basically the audio from the movie.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I remember that sound so clearly. That's a crate dragon. The sand people scare easily, but they'll soon return in greater numbers.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know what the heck that was, because
that's your hello there.
Hello there. They must know that people like me are geeking out over that sound, but whether they intend anything by it or not, I don't know. But then we see little Yoda come waddling out. And I guess that was kind of what they were going for is, the very first time we heard that sound, we see this old man come kind of, teetering out. And now the second time we hear that sound, we see a tiny baby come teetering out.
This was a toddler just waking up from a nap, kind of making his way. The closest thing he knows to a dad is gone. Doesn't know where he's at, and there's some woman standing there, so he's frazzled, right?
He doesn't seem flat. She pulls
He does it first, and then he's...
And this is where, again, Star Wars is more fantasy than sci-fi, and sometimes I really, really love that about it. Because that weapon she pulls, it looks like a blunderbuss.
Yeah.
You can tell it's like an antiquated blaster, even though from like the physics of what a laser gun might be like, it doesn't make much sense. But it looks like a blunderbuss, and I love it. Anyway, now we're back to the cantina, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, no, she wants to feed it, and they make a point of pointing this out. Something with bones in it.
Yes. She said, I don't know, something with bones in it.
This is like the third time. It's the second time specifically bones have been mentioned with his diet.
I almost forgot, and I didn't write it down. I wanted to talk about this. We only know 2 things about Yoda's species.
Yaddle.
We know that there's more than one.
Yeah.
Which we already knew.
Yeah.
We know that they are carnivorous.
Yeah.
And that's still all we know.
Yeah.
we haven't learned anything new about them yet.
It is true. And they seem to be long-lived.
But there are more than 2.
There are more. Ooh, so they're not like the Sith.
There's well, no, Yaddle's gone. Yoda's gone at this point.
But we don't know.
We don't know that Yaddle's dead, but Yoda's gone. Yaddle vanished.
Okay. Yaddle did vanish. Maybe because she had baby Yoda and was forced to step down from the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
That is one theory about the origin of this baby Yoda.
That's
so
weird.
something with bones in it. So we're back to the cantina, and he talks to the torture droid, and he says, I'm a hunter. That's how he identifies himself.
Yeah.
Mandalorian. And he's looking for work. And he says, the Bounty Guild no longer operates from Tatooine. So I think this is significant, and I think it's why he went to Tatooine. Because we know that 5 years before this, Jabba the Hutt is viciously murdered trying to enjoy himself on vacation. He's strangled to death by some lady. It was terrible what happened to that guy. He's out entertaining friends. He's got a yacht. It was yacht rock playing.
Yeah.
A little Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, he had put her up free of charge, room and board, and fed and everything.
And then she killed him. Anyway.
Jabba's evil.
Yeah.
Was evil.
That wasn't my takeaway. But anyway, so, we do know that Jabba's little crime syndicate has fallen apart because the bounty hunters are gone from Tatooine. It looks like there's no rules on Tatooine, if you ask me. I wonder who is in charge. The stormtroopers' helmets are on pikes. Jabba's gone. And we got droids running cantinas now.
Everyone seems really comfortable.
You're right. It didn't seem violent or terrible.
Ooh, hey, Tatooine seems like the place that you might go to settle down and calmly retire.
Ooh. And
we talked about that on that first planet.
We did. And that's why I think he actually was going to Tatooine. He knew all this about Jabba. He knew that the Empire had probably retreated from that planet. And he also knew that the New Republic was probably not operating out of there, which is why, the person we're about to talk about soon was on this planet, because the New Republic couldn't reach out there. The Empire couldn't reach out there. Tatooine is truly isolated at this point, it sounds like.
Did you write down this new guy's first line?
I did not.
He says...
something about tin can.
Yeah, something like over here, hey, tin can.
Yeah.
I wonder who he was talking to.
I never thought about that. I just assumed he was talking to Torture Droid.
That's what I thought at first, too, and I was like, I wonder who he was calling.
Maybe the Beskar.
Yeah.
But I don't have Beskar. Nope.
That
was a great line. But we're not there yet.
No.
So, all right, so Bounty Guild no longer operates, and then we hear from our new guy, Toro Calican, who is sitting in the exact same seat that Han Solo was sitting in when Han Solo killed Greedo.
And
there was no scorch mark on the wall behind him, which tells me, again, Greedo never fired. Never fired.
Never fired.
There would have been a mark on the wall, man, I'm telling you. Although the bar looked very clean compared to last time we saw it.
So this was my first point that I was actually kind of bothered.
Oh, here we go.
And I say this because I'm sitting here like this now, actually, but my feet are on the floor.
He's got his
when Obi-Wan and Luke leave in Episode 4, and the stormtroopers come in, Han is kicked back, feet up on the table, as if nothing's going on.
Just like
it was right before Greedo, and Toro's in the exact same position.
Well, it's comfortable,
and that was the only part that I found
especially
a little.
if you got a blaster strapped to your thigh. I don't know,
yeah.
But you're right. It was a little too on the nose.
That one was too much. That was a little bit too much for me. And I love fan service stuff. I mean, I
looks
love
just
it, but
enough like young Han Solo in his same position, dressed, with the gun and all that. Yeah, it was a little bit on the nose for me too.
Yeah, but that was it. Everything else fan service, I had no issue with at all. And really, when I say that,
love it.
It doesn't bother me that I'm like, I don't like this episode anymore. Not like that. There are pieces that I actually didn't like about the episode, but that was just That was just there. So,
How would you rank this episode compared to the others?
um,
What's your favorite, least favorite so far?
so are we like a 1 to 5? 1 is the best.
Let's do that at the end. So think about it, and then when we're done, we'll.
Well, I don't
we'll
need to
talk
think about
that.
this one. I need to think about the others.
Well, we'll leave
know
it
where
to
this
the
one
end either
lies.
way, because let's not break our flow. Because he says that he has work for the Mandalorian because he is trying to hunt down an assassin named Fennec Shand.
Yeah. How long have you been with the
Shand.
guild?
Long enough, long time.
Clearly not.
Clearly not. But let's talk about this Fennec Shand bounty.
Yeah.
Because in his description of her, the New Republic is trying to get her, and I think that's important when understanding what's going on with Tatooine and with understanding what the end of the episode. The New Republic is trying to get her because let's see, her old employers were put in lockdown by the New Republic, is what he actually says,
Right.
what Toro says. And then the Mandalorian actually turns down the job and explains, if you go after her, you're going to die. And he says she's an elite mercenary who worked for the top crime syndicates, including...
Who killed for the top crime syndicate.
Including...
The Hutts.
The Hutts. Now, we know from the Clone Wars cartoon that the Hutts, as a species, this is what they do. They're crime families. So, Jabba's just one of several big crime bosses. Of course, he's dead now. And again, given the Mandalorian's reference to the Hutts, is why I think maybe he picked Tatooine. He said, well, okay, no more Hutts on Tatooine. It sounds like a good place to set up shop. So he initially turns it down. And then the guy ends up talking him into it, says you can keep all the money, I just want the prestige or whatever because I'm trying to get into the guild, and that's what really tells the Mandalorian that this guy's not been with him very long. Because how does he know he wasn't with him long? If he'd been with him for a while, what would he know already?
About what?
If Toro was really in the guild, what would he? Who's his main target at this point?
Oh, the
Mandalorian
himself.
and the
yeah.
child.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was reading ahead about something I want to talk about after.
Yeah, so
that's
a dead giveaway to the Mandalorian that this guy is not actually a member of the guild yet, but he does have a fob.
Yes. He's got a fob, so this seems kind of like the way that I took this was he wants to be a bounty hunter. He wants to join the guild. The guild said, "Here's a job, complete the job and you're in."
Yeah, they haven't let him in on the real deals yet.
And this
but
seems to
they
be a
gave
pretty
him a suicidal one.
This is a pretty heavy. Well, and I think that's it. I think if you can make it through the big one, then we'll start giving you regular little jobs that you can make it through, and we know that you can handle the big stuff. That's my guess.
I don't know how we feel about flashback episodes because we haven't really seen the Mandalorian do that much except for like a few minutes here and there with his childhood. But I would love more about Fennec Shand.
Yes,
that would be cool. But
yeah. All right, so this was my next issue.
What?
So he agrees.
He does agree.
After he says, "Wait, I need your help. This is my first job.
Yeah.
You can have all the money. I just want to get into the guild."
I just want, yeah.
And he says, okay, this is what we're going to do. And this is where I kind of had an issue because at this point, assuming everything is successful, they get they get Fennec, turn her over, get the money.
Yeah.
He can't go with him to turn her over.
No.
That guy is not coming back to the Mandalorian with his money.
I wonder if, yeah.
Because he can't go to the guild and be a part of this. Like,
this is now you're upsetting me because the writing has always been solid. We're 5 episodes in, the writing's solid, and that is kind of a flaw in the writing. Because my answer would be, well, Toro clearly had a fair amount of money on him, but that was never communicated to the Mandalorian. Like,
right.
Toro could have said, "I'll pay you out before," and then that issue you just brought up would have been resolved. We would say, okay, he'll give him all his cash and go back and get the bounty.
And I kind of wondered if that was why the gold came up at the end.
Maybe that's how it works out. But you're right; they never say it, but it's implied, I guess. So it's not a big problem, but interesting.
That was my big concern.
Interesting. All right, so now he says, "Meet me at Hangar 35," and he definitely says 35 right there.
Yes.
The guy breaks the fob so that the Mandalorian's dependent on him for directions. And he says half an hour, and I'm like, but hours are based on the Earth's movement around the sun and the Earth's rotation, and days or years or... Anyway, what's a half hour in Star Wars? Don't care.
Not just in Star Wars, just on Tatooine.
On Tatooine.
You know, do you hear what they said later on?
Dual suns.
Suns are down.
Yeah, the
right?
suns
Later on.
are set. Yeah.
That's cool.
So now we're back at the ship, and Peli Motto has the baby, and she says, and the Mandalorian's like, give him. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And we get the gender of the baby reinforced because Mandalorian, clearly says him, even though Motto refers neutral. So calls
Right,
baby
because she doesn't know what it is.
Yep.
Right, that was her thing.
And I think she gives a line here that I think is significant to this first season. Awful lot to learn about raising a young one.
Yeah.
Because this is the adopted dad. So last episode, he was even referred to, the child was referred to as the Mandalorian son. So I'm kind of loving this dynamic. If you had asked me, do you want to watch a show about a Mandalorian running around raising a young baby of any sort, Yoda or otherwise, I'd be like, I want to see him go out and fight and do missions and stuff. But I'm loving this dynamic of this guy trying to protect this child while on the run, and I love this.
Well, and I've seen very, very little complaint, but I have seen people talk about, the baby Yoda in the same way they've talked about the Porgs or the Ewoks in a way to merchandise and reach out to kids.
Well, yes. Yeah.
And the merchandising, yes. The merchandising is going to work.
Yeah.
In fact,
this
it's going to work
no
better.
Ewok, man. This is no Porg.
Well, it's not even that. They're not reaching out to kids. Nothing about this TV show is reaching out to children. Right? Like, that's not what's happening. This is not a kid's TV show for the most part.
Although that Baby Yoda does have a universal appeal.
Yes.
Like I said, my wife loves Baby Yoda, and she's not really that big into Star Wars.
Well, and same idea. And everybody does. And eventually they will market that out. There will be shows, there will be little TV snippets that will have a cartoon. Baby Yoda and the characters and the plushes and that stuff. Yes, that stuff will reach out to kids, but not in the show. And it certainly doesn't take away. It adds to the show. The way they've used this character has been phenomenal for us. So.
Agreed.
Love it. All right, so we're off. We look at and then jump on to
two speeder bikes.
But they're not from Corellia, so whatever.
Yeah, the Mandalorian, I guess Toro thinks he's a little disappointed in these bikes because that's his comment. Well, this ain't Corellia. And Corellia is, of course, famous for its vehicles because it's the home of the Corellian dockyards, which created the famous
Millennium Falcon.
Yep, that's a Corellian freighter, and so was the Ghost in Clone Wars. The Rebels.
Yeah, Rebels is awesome.
I've heard of the Rebels. Now, Toro, you're probably ready to move on, but there's a couple really significant parts to this. When Toro sees Peli, he calls her ma'am, and that might seem insignificant, but I think it's supposed to be endearing. Like, he has good manners.
Right.
He's being respectful to this lady. He sees the baby. He sees the child, and that's significant.
He takes note of that, too. He kind of looks at it like, what is that?
Yeah.
And then moves on. That was the impression I got, yeah.
And that moves on pretty quick. So the Mandalorian gets on the bike, and they take off. But there's some equipment missing that I think becomes very, very glaring later on. So we'll see if you noticed. So then we have an awesome biker scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That looked like the funnest thing ever. Tim and I both have ridden motorcycles. We both have motorcycles.
Yes.
Mine doesn't work. But we both have been known to ride. And I was sitting there thinking, like, okay, what is it about speeder bikes that looks even more fun than just a regular motorcycle? Because it's not that it's going that high. It's the fact that it can't fall over, I think is what it is. Like if you stop all of a sudden, it's not going to fall on you. It's like a motorcycle, but so much better.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Oh, that scene was
across
great.
the desert scene, a desert sands of Tatooine. I do hate sand. It's coarse and irritating. And gets everywhere.
Ruins movies.
Not like here.
George Lucas is
in this room. Everything's so soft.
So
smooth.
Stop it. There's a very New Hope-ish type music flourish here, like with brass instruments type flourish, and he stops him. The Mandalorian stops Toro, and what do they see?
Oh, they see a bantha.
Yeah, they see two banthas, and there's some Tusken Raiders down there, and they call them Tusken Raiders. And Toro says, "This filth."
Yeah, the locals say that these filth always cause them trouble or something.
And I love the Mandalorian's response to that.
He says they think they're the locals.
Yeah, which
Everyone else is just trespassing.
it's good to hear someone finally speak up for the Tusken Raiders. That's the first positive thing we've ever heard, and that's not truly positive. It's just, hey, they got a point of view too, you know.
Now,
This is our certain point
after
of
what they
view.
did to Shmi, they've got no.
No, they're not good guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even, he just if you're not a bounty, if there's not a reason for him to be after you, it seems like he's pretty okay with everyone.
Yeah, he's a live and let live kind of guy.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian is, which is kind of awesome. He is the man with no name from the spaghetti westerns. He's this scary character who just, you don't want to mess with him. Because once you mess with him, it's bad.
That's it for you.
All right, so
this was one of the best scenes now.
sign language to explain to the
before that,
Tusken
though,
Raiders. What when
he's
said,
looking at
"Tell
him
it
through the
to them."
binocs, he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Why don't you explain it to them?" And then they're just there.
Just standing there.
These guys, they're the ninjas of Star Wars.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they just show up.
They're sand
They're sneaky.
people.
They're like, did we talk about slugs? Slugs and snails?
No,
You know how fast slugs and snails are.
vaguely, not like specifically, but yes.
They're
slow.
well, supposedly.
To your point.
But think about anytime you've seen like a slug or a snail.
It's just
It's
there.
like in the middle of the like if you're in a patio, it's in the middle of the patio. It's not on the edge coming toward you. It's right in the middle, and they like startles you.
So they use a ninja slug-like method.
It's amazing that they can get there so fast. So slugs are actually the fastest
Just
thing on
they
the.
pan over and they're just standing there.
They're just there, and
And the guy he throws his hand towards his blaster, and he's lucky. We're going to talk about his blaster, and okay. Anyway, I want to ignore that right now.
Yeah.
And the sand person actually makes a somewhat aggressive move because he sees him going for the blaster, and the Mandalorian says, "Whoa,
Yep.
calm down there, buddy."
and then he starts using the sign language, which was awesome.
I like that too. And then he said, "Give me the binocs."
Were you aware that the Mandalorian was fluent in more than 6 million forms of communication?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
You probably
Wait a
didn't
minute.
recognize him
Are we
because of the
legally
silver
liable
Beskar.
for saying that? We have no evidence that the Mandalorian is fluent in over 6 million forms of communication.
I don't believe so, but he did not have an interpreter. But he still made his. He can communicate. He's doing a great job.
He communicated a price and a distance and apparently amount of time because they traversed that land for all intents and purposes 3 times. All under the auspices of one pair of binocs. So, yeah, so he gives, he makes Toro give him his binocs.
Yep.
And Toro's like, "Those are brand new." He said, "Yep."
They were.
The more I hear, which he doesn't talk much, but the more I hear from the Mandalorian, the more I like what I hear. Because his just 1 and 2 word answers are just enough.
Well, and a lot of his demeanor toward this guy has been different than with everybody else, and I think that's if you're going to make it as a bounty hunter, deal. Like, you got to make this
Toughen up,
happen.
buddy.
Some of it might have actually been educational, the
So,
way he was dealing with that. So,
You think some tutelage?
yeah.
Yeah, he does. He does say this is the job he wanted, or something like that, at one point.
Yeah, right when they were going to take off before he's like, she's going to...
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So then they cross the Sand People's lands. They get permission, and they see
A dewback.
yeah that's pulling what appears to be a body. And this is where again the missing equipment really stands out in my mind. What has the Mandalorian not got here?
His jetpack.
His rifle.
Oh, I did notice that earlier.
I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is the time for the scope.
I don't
buddy.
understand why he didn't...
That was a weird choice. And having seen this 3 times, I still can't see any justification for it. And this is the first and only time I'm really like, the writing is flawed. Because if you look at the concept art at the end of the episode, and I did for a very specific reason, but I didn't get what I wanted. But even in the concept art, when he's riding the dewback later, when he's on the speeder bike, he has the rifle slung over his shoulder. Now, this is, unfortunately, I think this was for plot. Because if he had that rifle, he probably could have just played sniper tag with Fennec. But he doesn't have his rifle, so he's stuck with a short-range weapon, his pistol, which...
Well, I don't know that his rifle was even designed to go as far as hers did.
Even if it's not, if you're in the desert and you're not bringing your rifle, you're bringing a handgun?
Yeah,
A
everything
guy
is
who
long
has
distances.
crates of guns brings one handgun?
So,
That now I'm sad because it is the first real writing flaw I've seen that I'm like,
you make me want to go back to the last episode of Chapter 4
And
because I don't remember seeing it with him after Cara Dune had it.
I wondered the same thing. Maybe maybe they left those weapons on Sargon because
Well, he wouldn't have left that weapon.
that was my feeling as well.
He absolutely would
and
not have left that.
I'd be willing to bet, and I didn't go back and check, but I'd be willing to bet when he pulls off in the cart with Baby Yoda at the end of Sargon episode, Sanctuary, he's got the rifle. I'm just betting.
I'm thinking so too. Now, there's another piece to that.
Well, like I said, I checked the concept art, and he's got it in the concept art for this episode, but who knows what gets made first.
That weapon,
Yeah?
along with the baby,
Baby Yoda.
is also unique to him. And the guild now knows about it.
Oh.
So there could be some. There could be some.
You're right, because they were
Like,
impressed.
I'm going off with this guild guy to
Yeah,
do
but
this job.
I don't
and-
think it's any more unique than being a Mandalorian than New Beskar. Because, like, that's how Fennec figures out who he is just because he is. The Mandalorian and Beskar.
Sort of, yeah. I want to talk about that too when we get to her.
Well, we're here because he
We
gets
are.
down to check out the Dubek,
Yep.
and he realizes this is just some random dead bounty hunter with a fob on him, and he takes one right to the chest, I think.
I think it caught his shoulder because he turned.
Oh, he did,
I think
you're
he hit
right.
his shoulder, and then he
Yep.
got one right in the back.
He got one in the back, one in the shoulder.
The back one was weird because I never saw a sear in his cape,
Yeah.
but so I couldn't tell if that was just the
We've
shoulder,
never
the
seen
back
the
of the
back
shoulder,
of the
or
armor.
yeah. I mean, I assume he's got armor in the back. It would only
Yeah.
make sense if you're all protected everywhere else.
But he never runs away.
You don't want to get shot in the back.
No, you don't want to get shot in the back, kids.
You see we saw what happened at the end of chapter 4. That guy got shot in the back.
That guy got
He didn't
shot.
have Beskar on his back.
No. So anyway, they're held up behind the dunes, and they can't go anywhere. Why?
She's up there with a rifle.
And well, what's the line he say? She's got the high ground.
She's got the
More-
high ground.
More
Yeah.
fan service.
And it is fan service, but not that one wasn't. See, that's the point where it's not bad because it's true.
Yeah, when it works, when it's not shoehorned in. You know,
Yeah, she's absolutely got the high ground.
if
That's
they
relevant.
move during the daytime, she's gonna shoot them.
Yeah.
So she has no reason to move. They're out in the open. They're kind of trapped.
I think if at some point Toro had attacked the Mandalorian and he stopped and was like, "I've got the high ground, don't try it," that would have been too much.
Yeah.
Right? But this is like an accurate thing. If someone's got the high ground on you, you're going to say, "No, we can't do that." They've got
Another
the
way to say it is we're pinned down. But they wanted to do a little fan service, so they said she's got the high ground.
Well,
which
and
means
that's
the same thing.
That could be terminology in the Star Wars universe too.
Yeah.
Like we say, you
You're
can.
pinned down. Yeah,
So-
I like it.
Yep.
So then he says, I'm going to rest, because he's going to wait for sundown to make his move, which brings me to something interesting. The Mandalorian's already taken us 3 places that Star Wars, I don't think, has ever taken us. Like, well, I guess we've seen people sleep, because in the prequels they had bad dreams and stuff. But he needs rest. We've seen his bathroom, the only bathroom we've ever seen. And what was the other thing? We see them need to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are kind of unusual, like how
Well,
they're like real people.
We've got a lot of that with
not.
Rey.
Okay. We got
In Force
she is
Awakens.
eating.
She's got her home and her sleeping area in the.
I thought you were going to bring up when Anakin was slicing the stuff using the Force.
No, he didn't. He didn't slice it using the Force. He sliced it. He just beautifully controlled the sliced piece of fruit and
I
sent it
know.
back to her fork.
It was...
It was wonderful. Obi-Wan would have been very grumpy if he'd seen him doing that.
And by the way, when he gets shot, not Obi-Wan, but the Mandalorian, he says the Beskar held up at that range.
Yeah,
So that was kind of
I loved
interesting.
that. Like he acknowledges that Beskar's not just indestructible
Yeah.
against such a high-powered rifle. I thought that was actually
It's at
really,
that
really
range.
well written in there.
Alright, so now...
Oh, and that's when he says, "But I don't have any Beskar.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm not
line.
wearing Beskar."
Yeah, the Beskar held up at that range. I'm not wearing any ass on Beskar.
Nope.
That was a great one.
Yep.
And there's no emotion to it at all. It's not like making fun of him or anything. It's just, nope.
Nope.
And, all right, so he rests, and now the suns are down. Time to get up. What's going on there? Why does the Mandalorian just lay there like that?
I think he was testing him to see if he
did
could
too.
if he could trust him when this whole thing went down. If he was going to actually, like, he's got a plan now. He knows what to do. Is this guy just going to kill him? Like, he could have killed him right there and taken his armor.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. This is a good leadership trick, by the way, peoples. Whenever you're put in charge of a new group, it's a good idea to spend a little bit of time, not really doing much, but just kind of being quiet, getting to know people, and watching what they do. After a while, they'll start to relax and be themselves in a way that they never will once you actually assert your authority. And I think that's what he's doing.
Yep.
I think he's just laying there. I think, the scene becomes hilarious when you realize he probably is watching him the whole time as he keeps drawing his weapon and going, "Hey, old man!" Hey, and he just and they, "Are you done?" That was so. You done?
Yeah, I was just waking you up.
Are you done? Yeah. All right, so he's got a plan, Tim.
He does have a plan. The plan is brilliant. I love
position?
the plan. These flashbangs.
Star Wars flashbangs.
Now this got a little bit Batman-y for me.
Batman.
With his utility belt and always having the right gadget for the job. And
Flash charges make sense, though.
the flash charges make sense. There's just.
But he does. You're right. He has everything.
This became a little bit comic booky. It's like, or not comic booky, like cartoon show
Why not
here.
just blow flames of fire in front of him, and then he couldn't see either, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like we've got these flashbangs, and they come into play later on. Like they are the weapon of the show.
They are.
Like the disintegration rifle came into play again and made sense. Like he kept using it, and now he stopped using it. And now this is the tool of the show.
Flashbang, flash charge.
It just kind of became that. It's not a problem.
So
and it makes sense that he has them. Assault on Fennec. So
goes fairly well considering.
It was weird.
He says we have a chance.
I think there was a mistake. Not in the movie.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think Toro makes a mistake.
Yeah, he fires his. It doesn't go into the air. It goes sideways.
Yep.
And that allows her to get her only effective shot in.
Yes.
And she hits the Mandalorian's bike, thus destroying one of their two bikes, and that's going to be important later.
Yep.
And now the Mandalorian's down, and it gives her time to shoot him again.
Yep, shoots him right in the chest.
Center mass, which is the place to put around, and unless they got Beskar on,
right?
Because he survives even a fairly short range blast.
Well, it's shorter, but I think it's still a pretty good distance. Because at top speed, he was still moving that other bike, was still going pretty.
They got to be
for a little bit there.
They got to be pretty close though, because as she's about to make what would probably be a kill shot.
I don't know if she was going to kill him or if she was looking for the other guy.
Well, she was aiming like it looked at the joint between his helmet, like his neck is what it looked like, where she was trying to aim. But then our guy Toro, our hero in training, he says not so fast. I think he actually say not so fast.
I think so.
Nice. But she's got a little Shuriken type thing was that in the stock of her rifle? It was dark. So
I couldn't tell if it was there in like a wrist or I couldn't tell exactly what it was.
She engages him with Shuriken, throwing star type thing, throwing knife or something.
And I'm like, this is that point where he's kind of disappointing to me because as soon as you've got someone in your sights, and I guess he's supposed to bring her in alive, I don't know, but as soon as she spins around, that's the time to take the shot. Like,
yeah,
she shouldn't have had time to throw, even if she is fast.
Deadly assassin.
Or even if she had thrown it, you still have the time that this thing's flying through the air.
There's a couple
to
moments
pull your
like
trigger, and
because before she even closes with him, the Mandalorian, he looks up, he's smoking, and you see the glare of two more blasts, but that's before she closes with him. So he got off like at least
I saw the two
shots.
blasts after she was there with him.
No, like
but he also like she hit his
or maybe
gun.
They're overlaying it.
The contact was the gun, so he could have pulled trigger out here.
You see that several times, but I think it just struck me as odd that you saw a glare of blast from the Mandalorian's perspective to show where they were. But yeah, maybe he was just seeing the fight as it was unfolding. So maybe that's simultaneous, or maybe it was a similar thing. I don't know. Anyway they fight.
Yes.
She's better than him.
I think that I'm guessing she thinks the Mandalorian's dead. I feel like she should have taken him out a lot faster than she did.
Yeah, she seemed slow with her kill shot.
Maybe was just like, well, I'm going to beat this guy. It doesn't really matter. I'll just,
Maybe she's not trying to kill him.
Right, whatever's going on.
We're going to talk about Fennec here in a minute.
Yes. So, so they go through the fight, and
what
then...
What do you think about that fight?
It was fine.
I actually was kind of impressed that Toro could fight, because while she handled him pretty easily, he wasn't entirely without skills. Like, he does toss her at one point.
Which is good, because he needs to be a bounty hunter.
Yeah, so he's not without skill. And I'm going to say more about that in a minute, that he's not without skill. So she does get the best of him. She puts him in a submission hold. She puts him in an armbar, like a classic style armbar, which is fascinating because in combat, like in a bout, you do a submission hold because the person, they have to tap out because they don't want to. But in a real fight, you just go ahead and take that arm off. That's the whole point. It's not like you don't trust them when they tap in a real fight. I mean, not to the death. It's like, oh, they tapped. So I'm kind of surprised she didn't just break that arm.
But she might have been looking to talk to him after, once it settled down, if the Mandalorian hadn't shown up.
I'm breaking that elbow. I'm popping the capsule in that elbow with an armbar like that. But she doesn't get a chance to, either because the Mandalorians are fast enough, or for whatever reason, she doesn't get that elbow popped. Anyway, he said, good distraction.
Good distraction.
And now the Mandalorian's got her, gets Toro to put the binders on her. And man, how many times have we seen binders in the Star Wars universe? So she's bound, and now they got a problem.
It's okay, Chewie. I think I know what he's got in mind.
Yeah, it's okay, Chewie.
So yeah,
she says someone when she first sees the Mandalorian, a Mandalorian.
Have
Been
you
a long time since I've seen any of your kind.
ever been to Navarro?
Ever been in Navarro? Now let's back up though. This is a assassin who we know worked for the Empire, worked for the crime syndicates, and she's amazed to see a Mandalorian. So she's been in the thick of it. So these, once again, we underline just how unusual it is to see Mandalorians. And then we finally learn the name of the planet that Grief is on. Officially learn it, Navarra. So ever been to Navarra? And Toro doesn't get that reference. Not even remotely, because, because he says you can go back to Navarro or wherever you want.
Now, I wonder
he
if...
clearly doesn't understand.
Yeah, I wonder if you pulled the same thing out of the next line that I did.
Baby,
Because she said, things didn't go so well there.
Yeah.
But you seem to come out all right.
Yeah.
And that makes me a little bit worried for the rest of the Mandalorians.
That's a good point, because I assumed she meant for the bounty hunters.
But she was referring to Mandalorian.
Oh, no.
And she said, have you ever been to Navarro? You seem to be in pretty good shape for coming out of there.
No, I dismissed this. There's no way the bounty hunters got the best of those Mandalorians.
I don't think so, but
unless the whole planet came down on them.
It was just
it might have just been the beginning of that battle, because they were hiding for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It was strange when the one came up to salute him in his ship. It gave him that was two bounty hunters not fighting anymore, and gave him the
decisive advantage.
Or not two Mandalorians not fighting. So I don't know, but that was what I heard when she said that, and I was like, ooh, that's. I really hope that didn't happen.
I wasn't. I'm sad again.
Yeah, sorry. A little.
So she.
He'll get over it. We all do.
They need to find a new ride, because they've only got one speeder bike now. So.
Yeah, this was a weird little conversation here.
What about the dewback?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just go get it.
I thought you were going to get upset about his helmet visor being able to pick up what looks like a reptile with heat vision.
No, I mean, it also picked up shoe prints, so...
that's why I thought you'd get upset, because you get upset about that.
Yeah.
Not truly upset, I understand.
No, not truly upset. I don't understand the technology.
We turned the mic off, he starts screaming at me.
Yeah, this is the new mic, because we broke the last one, throwing it across the... No, we don't do...
Reptiles don't give off heat signatures. I don't know what a dewback is. It just looks like a reptile.
Yeah.
But he says...
Let's do back on track here.
She's no good to us dead.
She's no good to us dead.
Another callback.
That was a callback.
Another fan service, because, of course, Boba Fett said the same line about Han Solo.
Yep.
Said she's no good to us dead.
Which was a weird... It was a weird time to say that, though. Don't let her near the bike. She's no good to us dead. If she got on the speeder bike, she'd be alive and gone.
Well, I think his implication was that he'd have to kill her.
Right, but if he found her.
Yeah, but I think that was kind of his, tough talk. Like, if she tries to escape, I have to kill her.
Yeah.
So keep.
But it was weird, because he was gone.
She's no good to us dead. And Mando saw a cold-blooded animal with his thermals. Anyway, sunrise on Tatooine. Rendezvous in Mos Espa. Do you know what I'm talking about? That's what, what's her name? I just forgot her name.
Fennec?
Fennec.
Yeah.
Says, I've got to make my rendezvous in Mos Espa. Now that is curious, especially given the end of this episode.
Especially given that, that she's supposed...
She's meeting somebody.
Yes.
She's running from the bounty hunters. She's running from the New Republic. I want to know about this Fennec character. And I think we are going to learn more, just not see her
in particular,
anymore.
Because at this point, we have my
that
second
actress,
piece.
By the way, did you recognize her? Her name is Ming-Na Wen. Sorry.
I think so.
Where do you know where?
I don't remember.
Because I had to look it up. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so she was from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
Yeah.
and she is awesome.
Yeah, so at this point, this is the second part that I was a little bothered with.
Uh-oh. Go.
So at this point, she's trying to talk him into going after the Mandalorian because he's the one that did the shootout, got away with the child.
His best girl alone's worth more than her.
Yeah, I don't care about the money again.
Yeah.
And
you think he's a rich kid who's just trying to, like, rebel?
it kind of, it seems that way.
I got that
it's weird.
impression.
So he does, and he's just he just doesn't know what he's doing. So at this point, you were set up for a bounty.
Yeah.
Right? Bring your bounty in. You want to get in the guild, bring the bounty in.
Yeah.
Not some side quest. You bring your bounty in. But he doesn't. He shoots her.
What's a bigger bounty?
And leaves her there.
Yeah.
Which was just like, there's no proof of termination. There's no bringing, like...
Maybe.
Your whole...
We've never established how they do proof of termination.
I think you have to do something. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do anything, as far as we know.
Maybe he cut off her hand.
Maybe.
That's dark.
Maybe. But there's nothing, like... Why wouldn't you bring her in? Like, the whole thing... So now he wants to go after the Mandalorian. It becomes very clear that he's going to go after him.
Yeah.
Because the guild wants him. Fine. You believe the bounty when she says,
That's a good
don't you know this
point.
is happening? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'll do what you say. Instead of going through.
We could chalk this up to maybe the writing didn't take that into account.
Well, I would
maybe
chalk it up to him being a
Toro's-
rookie.
I was going to say, or
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
Toro's just,
Rookie mistake. But... So
And
he
literally.
bothered me. Sorry, not the writing bothered me. He bothered me in that his character was like this. It's
yeah.
like if someone that you love is speeding toward a device and wants to destroy it by ramming into it, you save their life by T-boning their vehicle at top speed.
Okay, Rose.
Yeah. So it's a flawed character, I think, more than anything else.
You're talking about Rose again, aren't you?
I am. I'm sorry to bring her up on this podcast, everybody.
Toro.
I
No, but he doesn't just kill her. He shoots her.
yeah.
Did you see how fast he drew?
You fast.
I think that is why the episode's called The Gunslinger. I think Toro's the gunslinger.
Yeah.
Because when the only time the Mandalorian draws his pistol in this episode is in slow, controlled situations.
No.
Well, no, at the end.
Yeah.
Even then, though, it's not like face-to-face, see who's faster. He tricks him. But when he draws on her, it was so fast it was shocking. And I think that's where the name comes from. The gunslinger is actually Toro, I think.
Yeah, because he does it when he's pretending when the Mandalorian's sleeping.
And he shows several times him flipping his pistol before he puts it away and all that fancy gunslinger stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought the speed, now she's, got binders on, so it's not exactly like fair, but it is amazingly fast how when he pulls that pistol and shoots her. So he leaves her there, he goes after the baby, and...
Here's the other part for me. The Mandalorian should have jumped on the speeder bike and taken it toward the dewback.
Yeah.
And then just tied it to the dewback and brought it back with him.
Rookie mistake again?
That was a Mandalorian mistake,
I know.
Yeah, that would have been a better...
Well, yeah, that would have been better, but it didn't occur to me until you just said it. So I don't know, but the Mandalorian's probably a better bounty hunter than me.
Yeah.
Probably.
Me too, apparently.
A little bit. Anyway.
So.
But, of course, Toro has to say a few choice lines to the dying Fennec. And he says, and I like this because it does show he's not entirely dumb. He said, if I took those binders off you, I'd be a dead man.
Right.
And he's right about that. She's playing him, and he knows it. And I think he is making probably the best call he can, given he's a bad guy, and here he is. But like you said, I probably would have taken her with me.
And she was being honest. Like, the best lie is a distracting truth. Yeah. I mean, everything she was saying was true.
All right,
Except for maybe I'll help you.
He leaves. Mando gets back with the dewback.
Yeah, at this point, he really needs a jetpack.
He really needs a jetpack.
Because then he rides the dewback all the way back into town.
All day. He gets back at night, and we know it was sunrise when... and he's wearing that armor in Tatooine. That can't be comfortable.
He's probably got a cooling system in there.
Maybe. I wonder what sort of charge that takes. But anyway, then we get to the hangar, and we're in our final scene. Second to last scene, really. Yep. So Toro's got Peli and the baby, and he tells the Mandalorian to drop his blaster, put his hands up. And the Mandalorian does it, and he puts his hands behind his helmet, and when Peli goes over to put the binders on him, we realize he's holding a a flash charge, and she says, "You're not as dumb as you look," which I thought was a funny line because of the helmet.
I was kind of waiting. Yeah, I did the same thing. I was kind of waiting for the pit droids to get involved and help save them
And begin the redemption of droids.
Yeah, I thought that was happening.
They show them in the office when this is going on. They're like just kind of popping up and down, like they're nervous.
Yeah. I was surprised that she was alive, which could have been.
That would have been dark.
Yeah, I mean that was what I was surprised at, and my wife actually said that too when she first watched it. She went, "Oh, that means she's dead." Like that was her first thought, was she's gone. And it might have been his way of. It might have been his way of making sure that those droids all stayed back. You know, because her and 3 droids, that's a lot, even if you're pretty quick with a blaster.
Which he is. We don't know how accurate he is.
I don't know I don't know that he likes those odds like the Mandalorian did.
Yeah.
It was 1 versus 4.
So, he says, "You're a guild traitor" to the Mandalorian.
And he's like, "You're a guild nothing." He didn't say that, but
you're
it's
not
true.
part of the guild. And then, he uses the flashbang, and he flanks him. Mandalorian flanks Toro and shoots him.
Yep.
And so we have our shootout.
It's the second time he did that. Blinded someone to his location,
Yeah.
which is another like classic TV like ninja thing, like the smoke bomb.
Yeah.
And then disappear, and you can't see where I'm at. And
Poof.
they did that twice now, which is awesome. Yeah.
No. So, what's up with Baby Yoda disappearing momentarily? Why did they do that? Because he shoots Toro, they roll the body over, and there is a moment.
If you watch it, you can see him rolling with the baby in his arms, but then he must pop out.
Yeah, Baby Yoda obviously kind of jumps out and gets behind something.
I'm thinking
but they intentionally give us a moment of where did he go?
Yeah, and
that was weird. I don't know what the point of that was.
It seemed like a...
Because were we supposed to be worried that it disappeared somehow? Or that he got shot? Or...
I don't think so. I don't think that was the concern. I think it was
I was just confused. I wasn't concerned. I wasn't...
Yeah, I don't think it was supposed to be a concerning thing. I don't know what the actual reason was.
Do we want to just confuse our audience for no reason?
I think it had to do with something of him sort of being able to take care of himself.
Turned into a Force ghost?
Yeah, that's the one. There's an instinctual...
And he's just holding a blanket?
There's an instinctual use of the Force. And I think that... I don't know that he used the Force here necessarily, but I think that he somehow... I think that's the idea, is like when he stopped the Mudhorn, like in a dire situation, he can do certain things, and he was able to escape.
That was odd. So the Mandalorian's able to pay Peli with all the money he takes off of Toro's body. And
I wonder if he's been collecting money all along. If he grabbed money from that first bounty hunter, and then from her,
from Fennec,
from Fennec and from the bounty hunter, he went back for that dewback. Whatever, he could have taken anything off of that.
That's a good point. There might have been all kinds of gear on those saddlebags.
Yeah, maybe a new long rifle because he doesn't have one.
And then he leaves, and Peli tells the pit droids, I don't know, drag him to Beggar's Canyon, which is of course fan service. We used to bullseye womp rats.
Well, and it's relatively close, right? I mean, not close, but relatively close and far enough. That
it works. It's not shoehorned in there like in a painful way. Like you said, I think the closest thing to fan service that might have gone a little bit beyond was when we meet Toro and his feet are up on it, and he's in the exact same pose as Han Solo. That is a little bit too much. All right, and now we get to the actual last scene that's going to cause some questions and some controversy. We see Fennec's body laying in the desert, so sad, and then we hear this chinking sound, this clinging kind of clinking sound.
Yep.
Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And then you hear what sounds like a droid.
I did hear the droid. The droid was weird.
And what we see are a pair of feet, a pair of legs, and with a cape. And it's so dark that you can't tell if it's black or if it's just really dark. And that's important because we're trying to figure out who this is. And the person kneels down beside Fennec's body, which means this is probably who her rendezvous was with. And most
it's got to be that or another bounty hunter.
And we got to figure out who this is.
Those are the only options. Because you're not just going to come across someone in the desert on Tatooine.
You told me one theory.
One theory I saw online, and I don't know where I saw it or who I saw it from, but somebody said that it might be Boba.
Which I like. 5 years after Hutt, he's like recovering. He's getting his stuff back together.
Yeah, and he's still on Tatooine. The Hutts are gone.
Yeah.
He maybe isn't. He's like, you know what?
Maybe he's broke.
I'm done with this mess. I'm going to stay on Tatooine. I was hoping, and this was the part that I said, I would love for him to have taken over Jabba's palace.
Yeah.
Jabba's palace is still hanging out.
That would be a great base of operations for a bounty hunter, obviously, because Crime Lord was there before. My suspicion was, and I'm gonna look up the name. I thought it might be Gus Fring. You know that name? That's his name in Gustav in Breaking Bad.
Okay.
But the actor's name, I can't remember. But we see him in the trailer leading the Death Troopers.
Yep.
The actor's name is Giancarlo Esposito. That's it. I thought it might be him, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Does it seem strange that the New Republic wiped out all the crime lords too?
It seems strange that they'd be able to.
That's what I'm saying.
But where was Maz Kanata's castle?
On Takadana?
Because they seem to be fairly peaceful, prosperous place, didn't they? Under the New Republic. And that was clearly kind of a backwater, place for bounty hunter types to go. I don't know. Hopefully we'll learn a lot about how the New Republic is handling things in this era.
Yeah.
That's a good question. But, so this is where I said earlier, I sat through all the concept drawings hoping that maybe they had a clearer image of this last scene. So we could see, is it black armor? If it is, I'm betting it's one of the Death Troopers. It's Esposito coming on, finally, as a Death Trooper commander, but it's not in the concept drawings. But what is the pulse rifle. In every scene of The Mandalorian, you see a pulse rifle. So the pulse rifle is the first real flaw I've seen in the writing. But you know what? Still like the episode. All right, so I asked you earlier, favorite episode, least favorite episode so far. And by the way, as far as I'm concerned, I can't speak for Tim on this. When I say least favorite, I've loved every episode.
Yes, 100%.
Some I've loved more.
Yes, that's true for me too.
Where do you rank this one?
This one is my least favorite.
Wrong. Okay.
Which one's your least favorite?
Actually, I like this one better than Sanctuary.
Yeah. I liked Chapter 4 a lot.
Yeah.
I liked almost everything about that episode,
I did
including
too.
Cara Dune. That's probably my either second or third favorite episode, actually.
It's a really hard call. It's kind of a tie between these two. The first three were so good.
They really
think
were.
They kind of, my expectations were very hesitant after the Last Jedi movie had come out. So when the first three episodes of Mandalorian premiered, just like they did, a powerhouse of just awesome, great TV, that I was in awe of them. So by the time we got to the fourth episode, I'm kind of like, okay, I expect this to be great, and it was good. And then same thing with this one, I expected it to be great, and it was good, and really good, both of them.
Yeah, and I think you said this recently. These last two episodes have become a little bit episodic.
Yep.
Versus this continuing story, and I think the Chapter 4 needed to be, because we learned more about him. That's where we saw that the bounty hunters were still out there and really after him.
Yeah.
We saw we got more of the relationship between him and the child. I think we got a lot more out of Chapter 4. This one, I don't think the story moved forward.
You're right.
At all.
I was going to say, there's no way for us to know at this point, but I'll bet if there's anything important in this episode at all, it's whoever walked up on the
whoever showed up at the end, and that's it.
Which means if you're to, at some point in the future watch this season again, you could probably skip this episode and not miss any of the story, which I wouldn't recommend. It's just interesting because it's kind of a bottle episode, standalone.
Yeah, the only person that he met that's still alive is Pelly, and she's not going anywhere.
It's Breaking Bad's episode The Fly. This is my fifth or sixth Breaking Bad reference.
Now, unless he ends up creating a tribe, right, like a group that he actually starts to travel with,
Sand people,
like Firefly style.
Yeah,
like if he starts to get a group of people to travel with him, he could go back to Pelly and be like, "Hey, do you want to be here? Or do you want to come with us?
We need a mechanic.
We need a mechanic.
No, the Ugnaughts.
You got Cara Dune.
Nick Nolte's the mechanic.
The Ugnaught was a mechanic.
No, we don't. We need a babysitter. She said she'd do that for money.
So it's just but that's it. That's the only character that we met, and then we saw the legs of another character.
We saw the torture droid.
It was a good episode. It was a great episode. But it was not. But it didn't push the story forward. And I feel like I want more now,
which is fine because I enjoyed the story. I like the story. And the more I saw it, the more I liked it.
Well, once this is all done, it's only going to be a few hours long. Like it's going to be like a really long movie.
Yeah,
When it's all said and done, you can just watch the whole movie, and it'll just be a part of it.
35
somewhere
minutes.
he had to go. So,
and that 35, by the way, includes almost 8 minutes of credits. This is a really short episode.
Yeah, it was. It was really short.
And
all
right. So I think we're ready to wrap up.
Yeah, I need to talk a little bit about the next couple of chapters and episodes of Our Certain Point of View.
We're going to get a little conflict, aren't we?
Yeah, so next week on December 13th, that'll be Friday the 13th, we get
normal.
Chapter 6.
Yep. And that one's normal.
We will regularly release that. Sometime that weekend or by Monday, we'll have that episode released for Our Certain Point of View.
What's happening after that?
After that, we run into a conflict with the official release date, December 20th, of Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. So they've moved the Mandalorian Chapter 7 release up 2 days. To a Wednesday, so that's December 18th. So our current plan will be to record next weekend, release before next Monday, which is the 16th. And then Wednesday, the 18th, will be the release of Chapter 7. We're going to try to record Thursday the 19th, before we go watch the movie.
Before we go see the movie.
Then we're going to
Yahoo!
Probably watch The Last
Watch
Jedi.
the movie.
And then we're going to go watch Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. Then we're going to go watch Rise of Skywalker.
And then we'll record about that.
And then we're going to record about that.
Twice.
So we're going to do a... probably shorter. I don't know. We'll try to do shorter.
A first impression podcast.
Yeah, we'll do our first impression before we go see it a second time, and probably a third time, where we can actually analyze it, and then we'll do another podcast release sometime the week, maybe of Christmas, and
then we'll see where we are, because that'll actually finish up the series after that, because after that week we'll have the last of the first season.
At the end of that week, February 27th, Friday, February 27th, will be Chapter 8.
Chapter 8, yeah.
And that'll be the closing
we'll
of that.
Do probably an episode of season recap, like one episode just dedicated to the entire season recap. And then we've got some ideas on what we're doing next. I'm excited about it.
And if you have ideas...
Email us at ourcertainview, not Our Certain Point of View, but ourcertainview@gmail.com, or contact us via Facebook at ourcertainview.
Or Twitter.
At
ourcertainview.
And I think that's it. You got anything else?
That's it.
I got nothing else. This was a long one.
It
All
was.
right. So,
thanks for listening.
Thanks. My name is Jim.
And I'm Tim.
And this was
Our Certain Point of View.
This is the way.
I've spoken.
Remember,
the Force will be with you.
Always.
Audio 1.